The offensive line fortress that's been protecting our quarterback just had a tremor run through it. And what I'm about to share with you changes everything about how we need to view this Lions team heading into the final stretch. I've got exclusive details that just dropped from Allen Park. Information that's going to make you understand exactly what's happening behind closed doors with one of the most critical positions on our roster. This isn't just another injury update. This is about the heartbeat of our offensive dominance. And I'm going to walk you through every single detail that matters. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your home for the most up-to-date news, insider rumors, and deep analysis of our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm bringing you the information you need to know right now. And trust me, you're going to want to stay with me until the end because what's developing could define our entire playoff push. Let me set the stage for you. We're sitting at a crucial point in the season where every single practice report, every single walkthrough, every single decision Dan Campbell makes carries enormous weight. The coaching staff made some interesting choices, and when I started digging into the details, patterns emerged that tell a much bigger story than what you're seeing on the surface. I've been analyzing this team for years, and what's happening right now with our offensive line requires your full attention because the implications stretch far beyond just one game against the Giants. Here's what I can tell you right now. The Lions held a walkthrough instead of a traditional practice, and when that injury report came out, it was lengthy. 13 players showed up on that report as either limited or non-participants. Now, I know what you're thinking. Estimated injury reports from walkthroughs aren't the most reliable indicators, and you're absolutely right. But when you start seeing the same names appear week after week, when you notice specific patterns in how the coaching staff is managing certain players, that's when you need to pay attention. That's when the story becomes crystal clear. Our right tackle position, the anchor of our offensive line, the protector of Jared Goff's blind side when he rolls right, the road grader who's been instrumental in opening lanes for our rushing attack. That position is dealing with something that's been quietly developing over the past several weeks. I'm talking about Penei Sewell, our all-pro tackle, one of the best offensive linemen in the entire National Football League. And he's been battling through an ankle injury that's had him featured on injury reports consistently. The team listed him as a non-participant in Wednesday's walkthrough. And this isn't the first time we've seen his name pop up with this specific issue. Now, before anyone starts panicking, let me give you the context that's absolutely essential to understanding this situation. Sewell has been dealing with this ankle problem for a couple of weeks now. And here's the most important part. He's continued to play on Sundays. That's right. Despite showing up on injury reports, despite being limited or sitting out practices during the week, when game day arrives, number 70 has been out there doing what he does best, dominating defensive linemen and creating opportunities for our offense. That's the mark of a warrior. That's the mentality that defines championship teams. And that's exactly what we're seeing from one of our cornerstone players. Let me break down what's actually happening here from a strategic standpoint, because this is where Dan Campbell's coaching brilliance really shines through. The Lions are managing Sewell's workload intelligently. They're giving him rest during the week, they're being cautious with his practice participation, and they're ensuring that when Sunday rolls around, he's as close to 100% as possible. This is veteran load management at its finest. We've seen Taylor Decker go through similar protocols with his shoulder issues. He's been working through problems every step of the way, missing practices, showing up as limited, but then suiting up and playing when it matters most. The coaching staff has proven they know exactly how to navigate these situations. What makes this particularly interesting is the timing. We're heading into Week 12 against the Giants, a game where we're favored significantly, a matchup where our offensive line should be able to assert dominance. The over-under is set at 49.5 points, which tells you that Vegas expects us to put up numbers. But here's the thing. To reach our offensive potential, to really unleash this attack that's been so potent all season, we need our offensive line operating at full strength. We need Sewell out there creating those massive running lanes. We need him protecting Goff. We need him setting the tone physically. The broader context makes this even more significant. Our offensive line has been under scrutiny lately. Reports have been circulating that the Lions need more from their offensive line to get the train back on the tracks. We've seen some struggles. We've dealt with injuries across the unit, and maintaining continuity has been challenging. Christian Mahogany, our second-year guard, is likely out for at least a month after breaking a bone in his leg. We've got multiple players working their way back from various ailments. The line that was supposed to be a strength, our foundation, has faced adversity. That's why Sewell's status carries so much weight. He's not just another player on the injury report. He's the anchor. He's the guy who sets the standard, who elevates everyone around him, who makes our entire offensive operation function at an elite level. When Sewell is out there playing at his all-pro level, everything else falls into place. The running game gets going. Goff has time to operate. Our play-action game becomes lethal. But if there's any diminishment in his effectiveness, if that ankle limits his explosiveness or his ability to move laterally, it creates ripple effects throughout the entire offense. Here's what I'm seeing that gives me optimism. And this is crucial. Multiple reports from Allen Park indicate that Sewell was spotted back at practice on Thursday. After sitting out Wednesday's walkthrough, he was out there working in a limited capacity. That progression is exactly what you want to see. The team is being smart. They're not rushing him, but they're also getting him work, keeping him in rhythm, making sure he's ready for Sunday. Dan Campbell has shown all season that he's not going to put players at risk unnecessarily, but he also understands that to make a deep playoff run, you need your best players available. The medical staff has been working closely with Sewell to manage this ankle issue. From what I'm gathering, this isn't a severe high ankle sprain or anything that requires surgical intervention. This is more of a nagging injury that needs proper management, rest when appropriate, and careful monitoring. The fact that Sewell has been able to play through it, that he's been effective when he's on the field, tells you that this is manageable. It's not ideal. Nobody wants to see any player dealing with injury. But in the context of a long NFL season, this is the kind of situation that can be navigated successfully. Let me connect this to the bigger picture of where we are as a team. The Lions are in the thick of a playoff race. We're competing for division supremacy. We're building toward what we all hope is a deep postseason run. Every game matters, every practice matters, every decision about player health matters. The coaching staff is walking a tightrope between winning now and preserving our players for what we hope is a long January and February. That's why you're seeing this cautious approach with Sewell, with Decker, with several other key players. The good news extends beyond just Sewell. We're seeing positive developments across the injury report. DJ Reed looks like he has a good chance to return this week after being out since Week 4. Malcolm Rodriguez was a full participant after being activated from the physically unable to perform list. Miles Frazier, who missed all of training camp and the preseason with a knee injury, is practicing fully and could provide a fresh option for our offensive line. The roster is getting healthier at the right time. And that's exactly what you need heading into the stretch run. Campbell addressed the media, and his tone was measured but optimistic. He didn't express major concern about Sewell's availability, and that tells you everything you need to know. If this was a serious issue, if there was genuine worry about his status for Sunday or beyond, we'd be hearing different language. Instead, what we're getting is the standard injury management speak that indicates this is under control. The Lions have been transparent all season about injuries. They haven't hidden anything, and that transparency gives us confidence that what we're seeing is exactly what it appears to be. A veteran player being managed carefully through a minor injury for Sunday's game against the Giants. I fully expect to see Sewell out there. The matchup favors us significantly, and having our complete offensive line intact gives us the best chance to dominate from start to finish. The Giants' defense isn't going to present the kind of elite pass rush that will make you want to rest an injured tackle. This is a game where we should be able to control the line of scrimmage, establish our running game, and set the tone physically. Sewell will be a major part of that equation. Looking ahead beyond just this week, the key is making sure this ankle issue doesn't become something that lingers and worsens as the season progresses. That's where the week-to-week management becomes so critical. If sitting him out of a Wednesday practice means he's fresher and more effective on Sunday, that's a trade-off worth making every single time. If limiting his reps during the week preserves his health for the games that matter most, that's smart coaching. We're not trying to win practice. We're trying to win championship. And that requires thinking long-term, even while handling the immediate challenges. The offensive line as a whole needs to step up and support each other through this stretch. We need guys like Decker to continue battling through his shoulder issues. We need Graham Glasgow to manage his knee situation. We need the entire unit to function as one cohesive force. Chemistry and continuity on the offensive line are everything. These 5 guys need to work together in perfect harmony. They need to communicate, they need to trust each other, and they need to be physically capable of executing the game plan. That's why every single injury on this unit matters. And that's why we're monitoring Sewell's situation so closely. I want you to understand something that's really important here. The fact that Sewell is dealing with this and still performing at a high level speaks to his toughness, his preparation, and his elite talent. This is what separates good players from great players. Great players find ways to be effective, even when they're not at 100%. They push through discomfort. They adjust their technique if needed. They refuse to let their team down. That's the mentality Sewell brings every single week, and it's a big reason why this offensive line has been able to maintain its effectiveness. Despite dealing with multiple injuries, the coaching staff deserves credit for how they're handling this entire situation. They're not being reckless. They're not pushing players beyond what's safe, but they're also not being overly cautious to the point where it hurts the team's chances of winning. It's a delicate balance, and so far, they've navigated expert. The medical staff, the strength and conditioning coaches, the position coaches, everyone is working together to keep these players on the field and performing at their best. That collaborative approach is what championship organizations do. So where does this leave us heading into Sunday? I'm optimistic. I believe Sewell will play. I believe he'll be effective. And I believe our offensive line will give us the performance we need to take care of business against the Giants. This is a game we should win. A game where we should be able to impose our will. And having our full complement of offensive linemen available makes that much more likely. The ankle issue is something to monitor, absolutely. But it's not something that should cause panic or major concern at this point. Real tests will come in the weeks ahead as we face tougher competition and the stakes get higher. That's when having a healthy Sewell becomes even more critical. That's when the management of his workload during the season will pay dividends. If the Lions can get to the playoffs with their offensive line intact and healthy, they'll be a legitimate threat to anyone. But that requires smart decisions now, careful monitoring, and a willingness to prioritize long-term health over short-term convenience. I want to hear from you, Lions faithful. How do you feel about the way the team is managing Penei Sewell's ankle injury? Do you think they're being too cautious, or is this exactly the right approach? What's your confidence level in our offensive line heading into the final stretch of the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this is a conversation we need to have as a fan base. Your perspective matters, and I read every single comment. If you want to stay on top of every development with this team, if you want the most detailed analysis and insider information about our beloved Lions, make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update because things are moving fast and you need to stay informed. We're in this together. We're building towards something special, and I'm here to bring you every detail along the way. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's stay positive, and let's get ready to watch our Lions dominate on Sunday. 1. Pride.